And welcome back to yet another incredible week of Mission Accepted. And I hope that you've been taking the mission between last show and this show. I want you to send it in to me because you're such an incredible audience that I love the conversations. I love the connections that we have. Send to me what kind of missions that you have taken based on watching this show. This show, I don't timestamp my shows. You know that. You've been listening to me for years, but I'm going to timestamp this one because we are coming to the end of an incredible year where I have seen nothing but people's businesses change, expand, stretch. It has been the stretch to significance this year for so many people that I know. So tell me what you've stretched, tell me what you've learned, and tell me who you've loved on the show. All right, I have a special guest for you today. I do. And you are going to be seeing this incredible woman share on the Stand Up, Speak Up, Show Up, Yes You Summit in March for International Women's Day, the women to watch. And you will know why after today's conversation, why that woman is going to rock that stage, because she's going to rock it with us here today. I want to introduce you to an incredible woman. She's an actor. She's a performer. She's a solo performer. She's a producer. She's arriving. If you get to see her live and what she's looking like right now, if you're not audio, you're going to have to watch the video because she is dressed for the party. It is the season. It is the season for parties. And we're going to talk a little bit about, Mission Accepted is, playing it safe and never made history. And I think we could talk a little bit about that. So Miss Naomi Grossman, welcome to Mission Accepted. Thank you for coming to us today.
Thank you. I love it.
Awesome. So where are you coming in from?
I'm in Los Angeles. This is the Pepper Room, the room full of fan art, floorboard to ceiling, art from American Horror Story mostly. But yeah, it's the place where I come to just sort of, feel good about myself.
It's important to have those places that we feel good about ourselves, right?
Yes, absolutely. I remember once having a gentleman caller over and he came in and he was like, "Oh my God, how gross. You have like a room like dedicated to just like art of yourself." And I was like, "Yes, of course. Like you don't like this relationship, like this is going to be a one and done. Like you're not getting a second date, dude. If you don't get this, like yeah."
I love that answer. You don't? You know what I mean?
Yeah, right?
We justify, right? We justify, oh, what do you mean? And you're like, well, because, you're so, people use the word busy, our replacement with abundant. I'm like, oh, yes, we have things going on. Do you? And
it's so important to just surround yourself, right? With imagery or whatever it is that feeds you, And in this case, this is like a reminder that my art inspired others' art. And for a really long time, I felt like being an actor was this really kind of selfish endeavor, like, oh, me. I just want to be in the spotlight, all eyes on me. But no, it's like I am actually an essential worker. I am like giving of myself, and it is being received by all these people. I've never sat down and like drawn a photo of my favorite television character, but these people did, and it's probably not their first and probably not even their last. And how beautiful to share each other's art with one another, me be able to share with them and then them share with me.
I love that. I've never heard anyone put it that way, Naomi. The reciprocal, being reciprocal with our craft. We know, I know there's my kind of thing is art, and I always try to make room, and then under my bed is art because I get more art and I shift it in. But we get lost. We feel good when we have things that surround us. And I could absolutely see how much respect and how it's almost like when you receive an award. You've walked across the stage, I've walked across the stage, we've received an award. For someone to actually draw something because you inspired them that deeply, it is being reciprocal. We know it with music, right? We go and get lost in music. We get lost in movies. We get lost in plays. And it just fills a part of ourselves that allows us, for me anyways, I'll talk about myself. When I get lost in the creative, when I get lost in art, when I'm watching somebody else or sing or draw or play, for me, it's a really quiet place that I go to. And it's a rejuvenative tonic. It allows
Mhm.
me to not have to talk to anybody. I mean, my favorite thing, I hate to say it, people, is going to movies by myself. I go to art galleries by myself. Not that I won't go, but if someone like asks me, oh, I'm like, I'm just like, no, 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 that's not what this is. That's not what this is, right? And it refuels me so I can go do what I need to do, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm an architect's daughter and I'm very sensitive to my environment. Like
Mm.
I need the feng shui to just be just so. Like I need like I'm very visual and I'm sensitive to my environment. I
Hmm.
actually have because I am a little out of the box, I'm an Aquarius. Instead of having like a vision board, I actually have like a vision mobile. Literally, like it's this little, just like a baby has over
Yeah,
their
yeah, yeah,
crib. I
yeah, yeah,
have
yeah.
a little mobile of images, and don't get me wrong, I don't sit there and like goo goo gaga at them, but just having them sort of like work on me while I sleep. And you know
Mm.
what? Slowly, I'm starting to get every one of those guys. Like, I've got everything from like yoga poses I've always wanted to, the relationship I'm striving for. And, slowly it's all coming to me. And it's because I'm putting it out there in the universe. I'm putting it, I'm very selective about the things that surround me, the people that surround
Mm.
me, the images that surround me. I think it's important.
It is important. You've kicked off a whole thing. You're talking to someone who's got double-sided, vision boards, treasure maps, what have you. And here's the interesting thing about it. Yes, I mean, I've put many things over the years and then take them off as you have achieved them. I've heard some interesting stories on people getting multiple of the same car and things like that. But you know what's cool? What's difficult with the boards is that you got to look at it. You're like, and that's an easy thing not to do. You get up in the morning, you look at your board, do you really take it in? But having it dance around your head, that's really magical. Okay, I think you've just started a whole new company.
Yeah, why not?
Oh
No,
my God.
it's true.
Yeah, mobile visualization. There you go. Look,
Love it.
not everybody knows you the way we know you. Can you maybe share with our audience? I mean, if they're watching, they clearly know that you're in the creative, but give us some backstory.
Sure. Well, if people know my work, it's probably from American Horror Story. I played this creepy little creature, Pepper. But although if they've seen the show, they know she's not actually creepy or even a creature. She's a very lovely little lady who appeared in season 2 and 4, the first crossover character in the universe, or in that universe, I should say.
Yeah.
And of course, I also appeared in the 8th season as well as the new spin-off series. I've done other film and TV. I was most recently in the latest Jordan Peele movie, Him. I played another. In that case, it was a creepy creature. Well, she was also an actual, woman, but
Right.
she's I tend to play kind of ugly, and I love that. I'm not afraid to be ugly. In fact, I embrace it. I think I've gotten a lot of credit for being very pretty as a result, which I'm not mad at either.
Yeah, they see you at the awards dinner and they're like, oh,
Yeah,
oh.
exactly. Like who knew? I've never tried to I've never
Yeah.
that was never part of the goal. Like I want to be a beautiful actress. I just wanted to be an actress. I wanted to take uh people on journeys. And I mean, let's face it, I get it. I understand why when we go to the cinema, we want to see pretty people. We're spending what, $18 and 2 hours of our time. Why not look at an attractive person? But at the same time, what's most important ultimately is, like I said, taking people on a trip.
Yeah.
And so that's what I strive to do. And so yeah, um if I can get props for being pretty after, on the flip side at the awards dinner after, even better.
Even better. Oh my goodness. So, have you said that your father was an architect?
Yeah.
Were you raised in a creative home? Did you have support for what it is that you're doing? When did you? How did you? I think that's always really interesting, right? Like,
Yeah.
how do we get to where we're going in relationship to how we started? Because when you talked about taking people on a journey, sometimes it's you're going in one direction, and the next thing you know, you're either walking across the stage, or you're writing a book, or you're doing Reiki, and you're
Yeah.
like, wow. So for you, how did it all come and unfold?
Yeah, it's interesting. I came from a very creative home. My dad was an architect. My mom's a pianist. They were very involved in the arts. And yeah, so from a very young age, we would, I mean, I remember going to the theater, the opera, the symphony, the cinema, I mean, you name it. And just kind of always looking up there going, I want to be up there. Like, why am I down here in the audience when I need to be up there? Um, yeah, so I mean, from a very young age, I made it abundantly clear that that's where I belonged. And my parents didn't argue. I mean, I really didn't give them an opportunity to. And because they were artists themselves, I think they got it. Like, they understood when you have this like artist soul and there's just nothing else. Like, it was
Yeah.
kind of like, I kind of often joke that it's sort of akin with being gay. Like, you can't pray the gay away. It's like they it was very clear from the get-go that they had a very flamboyant artist child, and there was no denying it. Like, you
Yeah.
can't send them to a camp to get rid of it. So yeah, no, they were very supportive. And it's really funny, as circuitous as my journey has been, I have always had my eyes on the prize. Like, honestly, I was born with jazz hands. Like, I came out like, doing the
Yeah.
whatever Charleston, and I've really never deviated. It's not to say that I haven't like, I mean,
Yeah.
let me tell you, I got my SAG card on my 15th birthday, and it wasn't until I was 37 years old that I was actually able to go to the doctor with SAG insurance. Okay, so I went 22 years of being like unsuccessful in Hollywood.
Yeah.
But it's not to say that I mean, for those 22 years, I still knew what I wanted to be when I grow up. It's just the rest of the world didn't. Um, like, I was very clear. It's just, like I said, my way there was real roundabout, but I never changed my mind. Like, honestly, I mean, nowadays with Facebook, we know what our first grade crush had for breakfast.
Yeah.
But even if it weren't for Mark Zuckerberg, if you asked Brent Keller, my first grade crush, what I was like, what's Naomi Grossman doing? He would say she's on some stage, she's on some screen, she's probably striking a pose with all eyes on her. And he's exactly right. Like, I've always been this person, and I think that's really lovely. I think I mean, in a way, it's been kind of scary because there were times when it was not working out for me, and I was like, oh my God, what am I supposed to be when I grow up? Like, I've already grown up and I'm still not where I want to be. And yet, I don't know. I mean, we're talking about entrepreneurial
Yeah.
pursuits. Like, I don't know. It's part of that vision board. It's part of that mobile. I've always seen it so clearly what I was supposed to be and what I was here to do. And I mean, even my own mom, my number one fan, like, I think for a minute, like, wondered, like, how's this gonna go? But I didn't, and I stayed with it. And I think, honestly, perseverance is part of it. It's also a little bit madness. Like,
Yeah.
when I think about just how hard it is to break into Hollywood, and like, you have to be a certain amount of crazy to want to, like, to take this on, to think that you have whatever it is that is necessary to, like, make it or whatever. Like, it is a little bit, it's pretty crazy. But hey, just like you said, what did you say at the very start, where you said nobody ever got
Oh,
here?
playing it safe never made history.
That's right. Like, yeah, so I'm a little crazy. Like,
Yeah.
that's kind of what it takes. Like, it required a little crazy to even even embark on this.
Yeah. I mean, you when you talk about Hollywood, it's not unusual for people to know it's hard to crack that code. It's hard to crack that code, right? And for you, was there ever, I mean, I know that there's times that we think, I think that might even be tougher sometimes when inside. It's one thing when it's not always a calling. It might be like, maybe I want to venture in there, and you're knocking on the doors and you're knocking on the doors and you're knocking on the doors. I think that story is incredibly common in the world of Hollywood by nature, more so than the other. In that, you must have had to curate a really strong sense of mindset. So how do you recalibrate yourself? How do you reset yourself? For me, I think my audience has heard me long enough to know that I will go just like I did to kind of shift my day from what I was doing earlier. I was in your spot earlier, so I wanted to shift that. I went and I listened to some music, and it completely takes me away and kind of brings me back to what it is that I want and where I'm going, that kind of thing. I reset with music, some meditation, some journal writing. How do you reset? Like, that was a bit of a gap. That wasn't 4 years. You know what I mean? That was, I'm sure, what is it like when you go and you get the call or don't get the call that you didn't get the part? What do you do to reset?
Um, my yoga practice is a huge part of my process. It is 1000% necessary. Like, it's a daily thing I do every morning, 7 days a week, at this point, 26 years.
Oh, wow.
Sometimes 1 to 3 hours a day. And I know some people are like, well, I can't afford that kind of time. Well, I can't afford to not do that because
Mhm.
my brain is absolutely like dependent upon it. Like I need that, just like you said, time to sort of like quiet my mind. And for just that hour, all I have to think about is the breath and the posture
Mhm.
that I'm holding. And that I'm able to kind of like do that. It's really important, really great concentration, and it's hard. And yet after that hour, I can do anything. Like, I've just done the hardest thing you could possibly do. Like, I've just wrapped my head around my leg around my head several times. So of course I'm prepared for whatever the day brings me. You know what I mean? Like, please, like,
Yeah.
so that is it's it's it changes everything. I feel like, a little bit schizophrenic. Like, I'll walk in there, Dr. Jekyll, and I come out Mr. Hyde. Like, I'm a infinitely nicer, more concentrated, cool, collected,
Yep.
person. And
Yeah,
and
yeah.
so if only the world would, could do
Do
more yoga,
yoga.
I think we'd
Okay.
be a better people.
Okay. I foresee I foresee, what a great show. What a great show. What a great, I don't know if it's a reality show or a series, or I mean, it's not a doc, but like the incredible things that are going on in people's lives before they walk into the yoga studio, and then what happens in the yoga studio and what people come back out to. I mean, there's got to be a show in there somewhere. Oh my goodness.
Yeah. Well, it's not yoga, but I did do a pilot of a show a friend of mine produced, and it was called Good News, and it was literally a news show, and I was actually one of the newscasters, if you
Yeah.
will, and the topic was literally just good news, like none of what you hear,
Yeah.
on Fox or CNN or whatever, just the good news, like people doing amazing things, and and art, and I mean, you name it. And it was unfortunately, I don't think it went anywhere, but it's a great idea. And again, if we could just like kind of go holding back to what we were talking about before,
Yeah.
about filling our world with like positive images that are inspiring, and
Dancing above
it's
our
same
heads.
thing. Yeah.
Mhm.
Why are we filling our zeitgeist with all this like, doom and gloom and destruction when there's
Mhm.
actually good news. You have to look for it, unfortunately,
Yeah.
because that's not sexy for broadcasters. Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
they get clicks from the bad news, unfortunately. But it's up to us to finally, kind of
Yeah.
find the good, because
Yeah.
it's out there.
That would be an amazing. I'm sure that could come together in a really cool show. Um, some of the cool things that have happened. I mean, people love the idea of Hollywood. People love Hollywood. They love to be taken away and carried through. People love to watch award shows. I mean, people love to see. I think I mean, when I watch an award show or I watch like, oh gosh, I watch American Got Talent and Voice. For me, what I'm watching is someone's dream come true. And I think there's something really beautiful, attractive, otherwise, other than the fashion, because I love fashion. I love what you're wearing. I love to see the fashion, but I think people love to see the dream come true. I think people understand how difficult Hollywood is and what have you. So, what's some cool things that have happened for you, even when you were on your way to try to, in your word, make it whatever make it means to you? What's some cool stuff that kind of either kept you
Mm.
going or was like, I didn't expect that to happen?
Yeah. I mean, there's been several, like, oh my God, I made it
Yeah,
moments.
yeah, yeah,
But it's obviously totally individual. I mean, honestly, when I've truly made it will not be when I have a star on the Walk of Fame, or when I don't have to audition, when I could just be like offered roles and I can just sit and, pop bonbons by the pool and, pass on scripts.
yeah.
That will be when I've truly made it. But yeah, I mean, listen, when this character first, when the Peppermania first hit, and all of a sudden I'm like seeing photos of people's, pepper tattoos, or like when TMZ is jumping out of the bushes at me, or when there's, Funko Pop is making, a little caricature of
Mhm.
my character. I mean, I was number one on IMDb. That was mind blowing. Um, I mean, when I was at the Emmys and Lady Gaga kissed me, like, moments like that, it's like, what universe am I in? Even as recently as just this year, I had a bucket list moment of I'm actually on the IMAX poster for this Jordan Peele movie that I mentioned earlier, Him. So if you look up IMAX, Him, you'll see, if you look under the bench, you'll see a creepy little creature, me. So there's been so many,
Mhm.
and eh, and like I said, once that American Horror Story door kind of went
Mhm.
ajar, they kind of came fast and furious.
Yeah.
But even before that, I mean, I remember uh long before that, quite honestly, because I want to say American Horror Story happened for me in 2012. But even 2010, I guess it's not that far earlier, but I was in Edinburgh, Scotland, doing one of my one woman shows, and the personal fulfillment that I felt on a nightly basis. And listen, sorry, they're blowing leaves outside. But on a nightly basis, climbing those, if you've ever been to Scotland, it's all hills and they only go uphill.
Yeah.
So, going uphill both ways in the pouring rain with a duffel full of dildos to perform live comedy for a a drunken crowd, some of which was packed, some of which they were just too drunk to get up the stairs. But it was just that was so fulfilling. And having that sort of like personal um, validation, being
Mhm.
like just knowing in my heart, this is right. This is where I'm supposed to be. And like I
Mhm.
said, that was 2 years before I actually had any kind of commercial success.
Mhm.
Not to mention what did we say, 22? It was 20 years after I say gotten my SAG card. And so I was at it for those 20 full years without any real, like I said, commercial validation. And yet
Right.
I knew in my soul, like I really do believe we're intuitive, or we should be.
Mhm.
And that's part of, I think, the yoga allows me to like just quiet all the chatter. It's a full hour where I'm not scrolling, and I'm not like all of a sudden like invested in this idiotic story this random strangers telling. You know what I mean? Like, we give of ourselves so
Mm.
generously. And why? Like, who, like,
I,
why are we like just our time? It's like it's the most precious resource we have, and yet we're just wasting it on these little screens. And 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 for this, like I said, that hour to just kind of go inward and to quiet the scroll, to quiet the mind, and to just hear just hear what you need to hear, which in my case is usually like breathe in, breathe out, like this pose and that pose. And it's not to
yeah,
say I don't have other thoughts, but they're usually pretty spot on. They're pretty like
yeah.
pinpointed exactly where I need to have my brain in that time. So I can't
I don't
remember
think.
how that got
Oh,
there, but
no, no, no. I don't think anyone. Yeah, we get there because we get there. But
yeah.
I don't think I've heard it like that before. And I honestly almost was going to interrupt you. Like, people call it a mic drop, and that's all good. But we've heard, stop the scroll. We give our time. But you said we give of ourselves. And so, if someone's watching something and it's scrolling and they're learning, they're absorbing, it's a form of betterment. I think when people don't realize is when it flips from betterment to not. When it flips from betterment to, and we know it's like, oh, it's such a time waster. No, no, no. I think you went one step further with that. And it is, we are giving of ourselves, because now you're talking energetics. Now you're talking that you have, you kind of have a battery when you wake up. And who are you going to play with that day? Who are you going to plug into? Who are you going to have conversations with? Who are you going to give a little bit here to, and a little bit here to, and a little bit here to? And that is a really, I like that. I really like that, Naomi. That was like nail it on the head.
Listen, I am very social. I have a million friends, but we all have those those energy vampires in our lives. And I just, I keep it real short, real sweet. Okay,
Yeah,
thumbs up. Like,
yeah.
they get an
Thumbs up.
emoji, and then I'm
Yeah.
out. Like, I
But
can't.
yeah, even sometimes people find themselves reading articles because it's gone through a little bit of a maze. That's incredible. I really appreciate that. That's a great highlight. Look, you have a life of plenty. When I mean a life of plenty, it's a life of variety, right? You just talked about doing like comedy, a show, like it's your work is variable, right? So many different roles you have to pull up from yourself. I'd love to ask you, like, you talked about bucket list and the bucket, some of the bucket lists that you've had, but so people get to see different varieties and different roles. But what is it that we don't know? What is it that if I was to say to you, Naomi, what don't we know about you? What hasn't been released in all the multiple articles, or what is something that someone may not know about you?
That's a really good question, and a really hard one,
Yeah,
particularly because I am an open book. I mean, literally, the whole reason I'm here is because because I wasn't having any success in Hollywood, I took it upon myself to write my story, and I've done it 3 times now. Girl in Argentine Landscape, my coming of age story in Argentina,
mhm,
then Carnival Knowledge, my sort of dating misadventures in Los Angeles, and now my most recent American Horror Story, all about my sort of history of hustling in Hollywood. And so I'm my own muse. Like, I've really like the all those like most embarrassing moments that I would normally, normally never want to share, I
Yeah.
share. Like I lean into that. So finding things that I like haven't told people is really hard. Like I mean, I'm trying to think like, I
Okay.
don't
Okay. I've
know.
got one
I
for you.
once I was gonna say I once bought a car on eBay.
Wow.
I got my first credit card at like the age of 40. Like there's certain things are like, wait, what? Like
Yeah.
how are you a person? Like how did you do
And when
that?
she got her credit card, she went to eBay and bought a car. No.
Yeah. Oh, and when I bought my house, I took a briefcase of cash to the mortgage broker. He was like, you don't do that. No. No, so I'm definitely like,
Yeah.
there's a part of me is, I don't know what that says about me. If maybe I just don't trust the system, or I've got a part of me is a little bit mafia. I'm not sure. Um, but all this is to say, there's not a lot of secrets, but they might, if there are any, they're probably under my mattress with some cash.
That is awesome. Okay, that's what I'm going to call it. A little bit mafia Naomi.
Yeah.
I think we're going to have to put that into the show notes. Absolutely. Hun, I know that you're going to come back and we're going to be sharing more and having a different conversation on the Women to Watch Stand Up, Speak Up, Show Up. And if you are watching this and you by chance missed that, you can head over to the women's channel and you can see that episode. I absolutely adore you. I think that, you know what? I think the reason why you have hit this incredible piece of stride is because, and I don't say this often, and this isn't just coming out of the hat, but you're the kind of person to look at. I watched it. So we were at the Emmy's event, right? The gifting suite, and you were there, and I was like, so who's one of your inspirations? And you were like, Liza Minnelli. And I'm like, yeah, she did a piece with my favorite, Mikhail Baryshnikov, which I dug up and sent to you this week. And you are bodacious in your energy. Do you know what I mean? Like when you're there, there's just it gets lighter. It just gets lighter. And I just, no doubt that you showed up today with something incredible that would bring joy to somebody. So you're kind of like this little mafia joy, you know, ready to share kind of woman. I really appreciate that. I really appreciate you. I think you're
Oh,
quite unique.
thank you. Thank you so much. That's lovely.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So look, I'm going to ask you one question completely. We're going to change to a little bit, not right out of your ballpark, but I'm going to ask you a question. Then we're going to wrap up, say goodbye to the audience and give them a little message. So you've packed a suitcase because you have one and you have room only for one vinyl, and we're going to ship you off to a private island. You're going to be there for who knows how long, but we've put a record player there for you. So you can only take one. So what is the song or the album or the artist that you couldn't imagine not listening to?
Beatles, obviously. Um, which album is a little trickier? I'm gonna say White Album. I know the Pepper fans watching wanted me to say Sergeant Pepper, and I could have, but again, if you know me, you know I'm like I said, I'm pretty out of the box. I am
Yeah,
unique. You called it.
yeah,
So yeah, I mean, the White Album is revolutionary.
it is revolutionary.
Right? I mean, you say you want a revolution.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah, I don't think people hearing that you like that song is too far to the box. It would never be someone would go, oh, I just don't get it.
right. No,
Maybe
no.
the guy that you brought over that saw the room, he'd be like, I don't get it, but I'm thinking
Again,
he did.
no second day for him. If you can't get behind this and you can't get behind the Beatles, like
Yeah,
who
yeah,
even are you? Like
yeah, yeah. Let me introduce you to somebody else. Oh my God.
next.
Thank you so much for spending time with us today. I so appreciate it. I can't wait till we get to spend time with each other again. And audience, if you want to be sitting where Naomi is because you have a passion, you have something to share, you have a mission, there's things that you can share that'll give people inspiration, ideas, creativity, and therefore taking the mission, staying on the mission, and realizing that playing it safe and never made history, then we'd love to hear from you. And until then, my friends, as always, you be well and you stay groovy. Bye for now. Bye.